It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So hype right now. Anything's possible. I'm on mama. I'm on my lady, ma. Anything's possible.
Rain and J's back with the vengeance. All the real Celtics fans in attendance. This the truth like 34. This like walking in the garden when you hear the roars. The crowd goes crazy. Most in-depth coverage on the daily. Mainly podcast royalty, the content kings. When you talking about the franchise with 17 rings. Focus like Danny at the deadline. Global with it, got a local feel like the red line, the blue line, the green line. Play it in between time. I'ma throw my C's jersey on in the meantime and press play. When the F's done, I can't wait until the next day. Trying to stay in tune with the C's, that's the best way. Melly.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. Thank you for making the show part of your daily routine, whether you're listening to the show as a podcast, watching the show on YouTube. I really do appreciate that you're doing so. I'm John Karalis. I cover the Boston Celtics for Boston Sports Journal, and I am the author of the Boston Celtics All-Time All-Stars, a book that is now available everywhere and for sale on my website, johnkaralis.com, for a $30 signed copy. I am here in a hotel room in Dallas, Texas, where the WFAA studios are about 2 blocks behind me this way, where I'm going to be hosting the Locked On Podcast Network's live draft show on Thursday with Chad Ford, the legend, Rafael Barlow, our high upside guy from the Locked On NBA Draft Podcast. He's an up-and-coming superstar in covering the NBA Draft. Very excited to be covering the NBA Draft with those two in a massive, massive production here for the Locked On Podcast Network, streaming on YouTube, streaming on Amazon Fire Stick, Roku. Just lots of options for watching across the country and around the world. So I hope you will tune in. It's brought to you by Built Bar, and I'm very excited for that. Today on the show, rumors, including how the Kyle Lowry rumor mill could end up in Thomas Satoransky in Chicago. New information on Larry Nance that changes the dynamic, potentially, if it's true. And then later on, I just feel like I want to say a few words about people's reaction to Jayson Tatum dropping a shamrock emoji in a Bradley Beal Instagram post. That's just... I'll save it. Let's just start with this. There are new rumors about Kyle Lowry and where he might be going. It's something that I discussed on the Wednesday Locked On NBA podcast with Jake Madison as we ran through national rumors, NBA rumors that cover the entire league. But this one especially is interesting to me because Kyle Lowry, a free agent, but possibly available via sign and trade, depending on how he ends up potentially leaving the Raptors. If he does leave the Raptors, by the way, not a guarantee that he leaves the Raptors, but if he does, I would assume that that's it's a strong possibility that he'll find a new home and that it'll have a ripple effect for the Boston Celtics. Now, one possibility is the New Orleans Pelicans, which is why Jake and I were really talking about it on Locked On NBA, because he hosts Locked On Pelicans. The Pelicans are looking to sort of replicate a Phoenix Suns type situation where I can see it. Look, they just picked up Jonas Valanciunas, who I think can help them a lot more by spreading the floor. Just doesn't do the same things that Steven Adams does, but does enough of the tough stuff while not being completely in the way. So nice move for New Orleans. And now they've got cap room to either bring back Lonzo Ball, which Zion Williamson wants, or to bring in Kyle Lowry, which I'm sure Zion Williamson can live with. And if they bring in Lowry, they're hoping that he has a Chris Paul effect there. If that happens, then what happens to Lonzo Ball? Well, there are rumors that have been tying Lonzo Ball to Chicago for a while now. And if Lonzo goes to Chicago, then Chicago is suddenly in a position where, hey, we can't afford all of these guys. Why don't we make a move? And Thomas Satoransky is very obviously a move that Chicago can make. He is a non-guaranteed $10 million for this upcoming season. They could very easily guarantee that and trade him to Boston for a pick. I'm not sure exactly how much. I'm trying to look as I'm talking about how much Satoransky is owed. He's got $5 million guaranteed. So you can cut him, but you still got to owe him $5 million. If you trade him for nothing, trade him for a second round pick, then you save, it looks like, well, you're going to end up saving $10 million. Whatever their number is, doesn't matter. That opens them up for potential future moves, potential, even if it's using cap space to bring somebody in for the short term. They have options there, and getting Lonzo Ball fits alongside some of the other players that they've acquired. It's a possibility. If that works out, then Satoransky, by just getting rid of him for draft assets, draft capital, that gives the Celtics the potential for some help, size at the guard, which the Celtics really need. So all of a sudden, the rumors here for Kyle Lowry have a ripple effect. There's also the rumor about Dennis Schroeder. What happens to Dennis Schroeder? Schroeder has been linked to Chicago. Schroeder and Billy Donovan had some success at Oklahoma City. Donovan could be interested there. They could maybe try to bring him in. That also makes Satoransky much more expendable. So you bring in a player that you want, you can get rid of him without having to pay the $5 million. You don't have to waive and stretch him if you don't want to. You can get something in return. I think it's a win-win. The Celtics are in position to do so. Now, there's another rumor out there. If Satoransky doesn't work out, a name that I've been kind of throwing out there, Chris Dunn. Now, is Chris Dunn the answer to much in Boston? No, but he opted into his $5 million, and now the Atlanta Hawks don't want to pay him $5 million. The Boston Celtics have a trade exception from the Kemba Walker trade that will allow for them to absorb the $5,005,350 that he has now opted into. That TPE is going to expire. Dunn makes just a touch too much, $5,000 too much to fit into the Tice exception, but he fits into the $6.8 million Kemba Walker exception pretty nicely. So there are options out there that are unfolding. Now, which option is best? I think the Dunn option is probably a second or third choice, where you're rolling with Marcus Smart as your starter. You're rolling with Peyton Pritchard as the primary backup. But Dunn coming in and hopefully being healthy can be a defensive-minded guy that you use situationally. Satoransky, I think, has potential, and I haven't watched him playing in the Olympics, but playing for the Czech Republic, he still has potential, I think. And in the right situation, I think he can find some more productivity than he has in Chicago. That situation just hasn't worked out. I think I don't know. I think not just the typical change of scenery thing. I think there's the potential there for just playing around different players, not Zach LaVine, not better overall players. Zach LaVine's obviously really good, but just better overall players, I think could benefit Satoransky. So options there for the Celtics at guard. I think those could be potentially decent options for the Celtics at guard. So whether it's Lonzo going to Chicago, Schroeder going to Chicago, someone else going to Chicago, wherever Kyle Lowry ends up, there's going to be a ripple effect that Boston can cash in on. Now, people have asked about Larry Nance before, and I've kind of shut it down. But now there's more information coming out that would change my entire line of thinking. That kind of blows my initial line of thinking out of the water. So I'm going to talk about that next, after I talk to you about Built Bar. Built Bar is the official protein bar of the United States track and field team. So it's not just podcasters like me eating Built Bar. You might see them getting consumed on the sidelines there at the Olympics as the athletes finish their events. Built Bar has a ton of delicious flavors. They have a rotation that's got chocolate or coconut or fruit or peanut butter, or whatever type of thing you like, it's there. There's an option for you. You go to built.com, you're going to find a ton of other special options that come up every once in a while. So you're going to have to keep going back. It's basically a healthy candy bar. That's the best way I can describe it. It's got 17 or 18 grams of protein, depending on which flavor you get. Calories ranging from 130 to 180. So you're not going to blow out whatever cardio you've just done. Or if you're using it as a meal replacement, that's very low calories. That still gives you the protein that you want with only 4 or 5 grams of sugar and 4 or 5 net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. If you go to built.com today, use the promo code LOCKED15, you're going to get 15% off your next order. That's LOCKED15. Use that promo code every time you go shopping at built.com. So a lot of people want to suggest names. There's plenty of suggestions out there. And one of them that keeps coming up is Larry Nance Jr., who I keep shutting down from the perspective of I've always said that Cleveland likes him and he likes Cleveland. And I haven't seen the desire by the Cavaliers to move him. I've talked to the Locked On Cavaliers hosts, and I've been told that Larry Nance Jr., he's an Akron native. His father played for the franchise. He's born there, obviously. I just said that. He likes it there. They like having him there. He makes $10.7 million. His contract goes down next year by $1 million. So he's on that descending deal. It's always made sense to me that, yeah, no matter what they're doing in Cleveland, it's nice to have Larry Nance Jr. around. Well, now not so much. Apparently, reportedly, according to Zach Harper in The Athletic, who says, quote, the Cavs aren't just hoping to move Kevin Love's deal this summer, as pie in the sky as that might be. Cavs could be willing to take more money now for this coming season if it means clearing deals like Larry Nance Jr. or even Cedi Osman for next season's books. That might mean attaching Taurean Prince as cap relief with him having only 1 year left on his deal. The Cavs want to clean up some of this cap mess for the near future since Jarrett Allen is going to cost them. So if this is correct, then the Celtics are in a position to use the remainder of the Gordon Hayward traded player exception to bring him on. Even if, and there are concerns that he is not a little more injury prone and not able, oh my God, to stay healthy throughout the course of the season. He did miss 37 games last year. There's at least you take a flyer on him. If you're not going to use that traded player exception in another way, you bring him in. He can be your stretch four. He can go out there and defend and hit threes and be the type of player that the Celtics have been looking for. A low usage guy who's productive, that plays that stretch four spot. You know that he's not going to be taking too much of the offense away from Tatum and Brown or Marcus Smart or Robert Williams. You know that getting him in for the rest of that player TPE, the Hayward TPE, can be useful. And if it doesn't work, then you can trade him. You can trade him next year as an expiring contract. You can attach him to another deal that you know is going to be you need the salaries or whatever. You can get rid of that money next year if you need to, but why not take a look at him? I think Nance playing on a good team maybe reinvigorates him. He has liked Cleveland, but hey, if the Cavs are actually looking to clear that money and the Celtics have an opportunity to clear that money, then they have that. Why not use it? Why not use it if, and hey, maybe it's not about using the traded player exception. Use Tristan Thompson. Send Tristan Thompson back there. If they're actually going to save a little bit of money this year. Now, they get off of the money a year earlier. Remember, the rumor here, the report is that the Cavs could be willing to take on money now if it meant clearing deals like Larry Nance. So do you say, well, let's take back Tristan Thompson, which would be hilarious, but bring Tristan Thompson back, clear Larry Nance, and then Thompson's money comes off the books over the summer. You've saved yourself a year of Larry Nance. That works for me because then you've only increased the Celtics payroll by less than $1 million at that point, and you still have that traded player exception to go out and get somebody else. So all of a sudden, now your supporting cast, you trade Tristan Thompson. Maybe you use this opportunity to attach another young player's salary. Maybe you use this opportunity to see if they want to take maybe Carson Edwards. Carson Edwards, who's always shot well in Cleveland, right? So, hey, maybe this could be something that gets him going. So it's a joke. But Larry Nance, if you can flip him for Tristan Thompson and you use that traded player exception to get Satoransky, now all of a sudden you're cooking. If you re-sign Evan Fournier, hey, look, it's a worthwhile risk that for a season, who knows? Satoransky is on the books for this one more season. Nance is on the books for this season and next. What's the harm? If it doesn't work with those guys, you all right, bye, walk. You trade Nance and forget it. You try again the following year, and you're not hurting yourself, at least with the money. You're not putting yourself in a bind. You're not costing yourself anything. So I think those are possible moves for the Cavaliers. Now, there's a report that Jarrett Culver would be available from Minnesota. That's not a deal. I know that's kind of floated out there. Minnesota looking to move on from him. He was the 6th overall pick a couple years ago, not working out. Change of scenery could be good for him. Not in Boston. They're not going to have the opportunity. Plus, he makes $6.4 million. Next year is a team option. So you could say, hey, there's your flyer. You bring him in. The Celtics have that, the Kemba Walker exception. So Culver makes 6.3. The Kemba Walker exception is 6.8. So you could do that. And hey, if it doesn't work out, next year's a team option. You cut him. But at the same time, he needs a place that's going to give him the time and the opportunity to make mistakes. And that's not where the Celtics are, which is why I don't think the Jarrett Culver rumors should involve the Boston Celtics either. Okay. Up next, I'm going to talk about the silliest thing, but emojis on Instagram and why Jayson Tatum's emoji doesn't mean some of the things that people might be saying that it means. I'll be telling you more about that after I tell you about rockauto.com, which is the best place to go for anything you need for your car. Doesn't matter how complicated, doesn't matter how simple. Again, I was just talking to Jake Madison, and he said again, when he was talking about Rock Auto, how he saved nearly $300 on an air conditioning compressor for a car that he's rebuilding. It's great that he knows how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I wouldn't even know where to put that thing. I don't even know what it looks like, but he does. And it saved him, rockauto.com saved him $260. I think it was $270. So a lot of money there that you could now spend somewhere else, but it doesn't matter if it's that complicated. I can go get wipers. I can go get new floor mats. I can go get whatever it is for my car that I know how to deal with and you know how to deal with. Don't waste your time at a strip mall. They're just going to take all of the information that you could be entering yourself and giving you whatever they have in stock, whatever brands they carry. The catalog at Rock Auto is very extensive. It's very easy to use. The prices are reliably low, and they're reliably low for everybody, not just certain people, not just a separate price for do-it-yourselfers or whatever. So go to rockauto.com right now. See all the parts that are available for your car or truck, and then write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box. That's how they know we sent you. If you go and buy something, I'm pretty sure you will, go write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box. That's how they know we sent you. It's an amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com. You know we're in the off season when we're talking about Instagram emojis. A few days ago, on Saturday, actually, there was a post on Instagram saying that Bradley Beal is at the top of the Warriors wish list should he want out of Washington. And in the comments, Jayson Tatum hopped in and said and left a shamrock. And I am amazed at how many people are taking that and implying that Jayson Tatum is now demanding via Instagram emoji that the Celtics do whatever it takes to get Bradley Beal. And I've had someone on Twitter make this case. I've heard people make this case. I cannot really understand the mental gymnastics. And maybe it's because I'm an old. Maybe it's because I am misunderstanding the weight of Instagram emojis. But let's be honest that, yeah, Tatum would love to play with Bradley Beal. He has said as much. We've asked them that same question time and time and time again. Every time they have the opportunity to play together, they answer that question. If something comes up over the course of the summer and they play together in some tournament, well, hey, how great is it to play with Bradley Beal? Every time, if they make the All-Star game together, it'll happen. All the time. No matter what. They're tied together because they're practically brothers who grew up together. Beal's a little older, but in St. Louis, Beal basically looking after Jayson Tatum. They're extraordinarily close. All right. Someone questioned when I said, oh, they're best friends. And he's like, well, they're really good friends, but are they best friends? Like they call each other brothers. Like, yeah, they're like best friends. You get more than one best friend. And so he would love to play with Bradley Beal. Of course he would. But dropping an emoji in some post about Bradley Beal when it says, hey, he's Washington's top pick or whatever, or Golden State's top pick if Washington wants to deal him. And Tatum's like, nah, Celtics. And people want to jump to, oh, that means that he's got to be down with trading Jaylen Brown. People make extraordinarily insane reaches right now. The reaches that people are making, I can't even come up with the words to describe how you have to be quadruple jointed to bend over backwards to try to make this into a thing. And the only reason I'm talking about it is because it is a thing that people have, I see it referenced, that Tatum's like, well, that means he wants to play with Bradley Beal, and now the Celtics, they have to appease Jayson Tatum because if they don't keep Tatum happy, he might leave. I've said this before. I said it yesterday. I said it on Boston Sports Journal yesterday. Giving Jayson Tatum Bradley Beal doesn't guarantee that he's going to stay, because the number one thing that players want, it's not to play with their best friends. It's to win a championship, multiple championships, to build their legacy, to make themselves into Hall of Famers. Now, they might say, well, playing with my best friend is going to get us a championship. But it's not up to the Celtics to go, oh, crap. Did Jayson Tatum just drop an emoji on Instagram? Yeah, he just dropped an emoji on Instagram. Oh, I guess we got to do what we can. I guess Jalen's on the table now. Yeah, I think so. We have no choice. It's an emoji. Yeah, it's an emoji. What are you going to do? It makes no sense. He wants Beal on the Celtics. That'd be great. But if you don't give him Bradley Beal and he's like, oh man, I can't believe you couldn't get me Bradley Beal. You sit him down and be like, yeah, we couldn't get you Bradley Beal because it would have cost us Jaylen Brown, and we're not going to trade Jaylen Brown in that scenario because we're in the exact same spot with Beal making $40 million instead of Jaylen Brown making 26. And it's just not going to work. We want to get Bradley Beal and keep Jaylen Brown. And Tatum might be like, well, I don't like that. Okay. That's a strike against you, Brad Stevens. Like, okay. If Brad Stevens turns around and builds a winner around Jayson Tatum, because that's the thing that you need to do, and Jayson Tatum's on the cusp of a championship or has won a championship, he's going to be like, hey, you remember when you didn't pay attention to my emoji? Well, now I'm out of here. Like, no. If Tatum is on the verge of a championship, if the Celtics have been to the NBA Finals, if this is his best chance at building his own legacy, his own personal brand, his own future Hall of Famer, a golden ticket to more and more money and more notoriety, all of the things that a star player wants, is he going to be like, no, I'm going to take me and Brad, we're going to go and jump into cap space. In 4 years when he can opt out, Bradley Beal is going to be, 33? Now, I like Bradley Beal. Where's he going to be at 33? Is he still going to be the top scorer in the NBA? I don't know. I don't think so. So, don't lose your minds over a freaking emoji. This is... I don't understand it. People really want to make something out of everything that happens on the internet. But here I am talking about it. So I just want to stop the madness. Just stop the madness. I want to thank you for listening. Thank you in advance. I hope that you're going to be tuning into the Locked On NBA Draft Show. That is Thursday. It starts at 7. This is why I'm in this hotel room recording podcast, sitting on an ottoman, because it's the right way to get the height of the camera on the table and knock it out of focus, apparently, if you're watching. But I'm here in Dallas to do this live show Thursday starting at 7 p.m. with Chad Ford, Rafael Barlow, and all of our Locked On local experts, podcast hosts from around the country covering all of these teams. And they know more than anybody what these teams need, and they'll be able to analyze this better than anybody. So please watch that show on Thursday. Please subscribe to this podcast if you're new to it. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Also, subscribe if you're a podcast listener. You're just listening in the car or in the shower or whatever. And share the podcast. Tell your friends. Tell everybody that they should be listening to the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network.